Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wally modeling series, and in this part we're going to go ahead and break these two pieces apart so they're built up from two pieces. And last time we left off with creating with these pieces, and my video cut off, but I finished everything I wanted to say anyway, and I just made sure that everything lined up, and it would be pretty boring to watch anyway. So I thought you guys can do it yourselves and make sure everything lines up correctly. And yeah, that's what we've done. And basically, why we're breaking this apart is because later on, if we wanted to rig this, that we probably will later on down the line, maybe in a different series, then we can go ahead and animate this like so. So if we do break it apart like so, then we could rig it, and then we could animate it properly as well, so we could have a proper Wally going on. So this is what we're going to be creating today. We're not going to make the animation, I just quickly done that to demonstrate it, but it's not that difficult. After we break it apart, we just basically go and move the pivot points to there, and then I also move the pivot point for that to there, and then if you rotate it, it will rotate from that point. Okay, so you can do it too if you want it in your spare time. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to open up where we left off, which should be here. So as you can tell, it's all one piece now, so you're going to go ahead and break that apart. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is select this edge ring, just so we know where we want to break this piece apart, and then we're going to go ahead and select this object and just isolate it, making sure that that is the right edge, and I think that is right. So I'm just going to go into my front view and go ahead and select the faces that I need, and then go back into my perspective, make sure that everything is selected, and then we're going to go ahead and come up to mesh and click extract, and make sure that you have separate extracted faces, offset 0, and then hit extract. And now if you can tell, this piece is extracted, so there are two different objects now. And now we're just going to come up to edit, delete all by type history, and we're also going to go ahead and find where this is, and we're going to go ahead and ungroup it. Okay, so it's going to be inside this group, and it's going to be this poly surface 2. So just going to go ahead and hit Shift P to degroup it, and then we're going to also go ahead and take these two and degroup them, and then just got to retoggle isolate, and now we can go ahead and delete this node because we don't need it, and then we can just close them groups, and now we got the two separate objects. Okay, so we're first going to go ahead and work on this part, and also I think we had some kind of an issue here, as you can tell. So we're going to go ahead and fix this. Actually, we probably should really do that first, I think. It might be okay if we just cut some edges across. It's basically what happened when we extruded things. We had a couple of issues, and basically it created some extra edges down here, as you can tell. But I could probably get away if we just go ahead and use the interactive split tool and just cut this edge from here to here for now. So we make a triangle there. Or actually, if I just undo that, should undo it, and we're gonna cut across from this point all the way to this point, I think. Yep. And basically they will make us two quads. So if you just cut that across like so, and they should have fixed it now, so everything should be quads. And now we're going to go ahead and isolate this piece, and we're going to go ahead and insert some edge loops and so on. So I'm going to first fill this hole. So we're going to go up to mesh fill hole, and we're just going to have to go ahead and use our interactive split tool to cut these edges across to make sure that our edge is flown. So I'm just going to tear this panel off again so I can use my tools easier. Interactive split tool, select that edge and cut it across all the way here, and also the same thing with this, going across all the way to here, and also with these I have to go ahead and join those up. They're a bit misaligned, but it doesn't really matter. You can straighten them out if you want, but it's not really going to make a difference, so I'm not going to do it. And if this would work, then I could cut across, but it seems like my Maya froze, so I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so I'm back. My Maya just crashed, so I just quickly redone what we were doing. So again, I'm just cutting these edges across to make sure we keep our edge flow like so. So it's all looking good now. And now we're going to go ahead and create the bit that comes out from here, and we're going to do that by adding some edge loops. So if I just go ahead and have a look roughly how big that is, and we're just going to go ahead and eyeball this. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into my side view, and if we go ahead and select our insert edge loop tool and click on the box, and then select equal distance from edge or relative, and number of edge loops should be 2. Or actually it will be fine as default as well. So we're going to go ahead and add an edge loop in here. We're also going to go ahead and add an edge loop roughly in here, and I'm just going to go ahead and probably move these in a little bit, and I think that should be fine. So now that we got these 2 edge loops, we're gonna go ahead and we can extrude this face. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select these 3 faces, hit extrude, and drag them out. And again, I'm just eyeballing this roughly the right size. I think should be fine, and I like that, so we're going to leave that as it is. And now we're just going to go ahead and insert the edge loops so it will keep its shape. So we're going to need an edge loop in here, and again I'm using the insert edge loop tool to add these edges. And we're going to need one here as well, and I think that should be okay now. Let's go ahead and hit smooth and see how it's looking. It's looking pretty good, apart from this corner here. Gonna need another edge loop, so insert edge loop, and we're gonna add one here as well. It's smooth now, see how it's looking now, and this still seems to be a bit strange if you smooth it. Oh, there we go, because we need some edge loops here. See, this is what happens if you don't add your edge loops. So we're going to need edge loop going in here and going in here. And now if it's smooth, that should look pretty good, and it does indeed. So I'm liking that. Now this piece is finished. I'm just going to come out of my isolation mode, and we're going to go ahead and start working on this piece, okay? So as you can tell, this bit comes out a little bit more than it should, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and move that later. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and insert well, actually, if you go ahead and isolate this piece again and go ahead and go to mesh and fill hole, and again we're going to have to do the same thing, so cut these edges across. So I'm just going to use my interactive split tool again, select that and that edge and cut across, and then same with this edge or this vert to that vert, and then cut from here all the way across to here, and then you're going to have to make a cut from here all the way across here. Okay, there we go. So now if we smooth it, now we'll hold its shape properly. And then now we're going to go ahead and untoggle the isolation. Then we're just going to have to go ahead and insert an edge loop around here where that piece will meet. So I'm just going to go ahead and select both of these and hit isolate, and then use my insert edge loop tool again and roughly figure out where it's going to go. It will roughly go there, and obviously we're going to need edge loops going here and also an edge loop going in here like so. And now if we just select this one and hit isolate, now we can go ahead and delete these faces like so. So if you select those and then go ahead and hit delete, now we got a hole that we're going to have to fill up. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the mesh fill hole and then cut in the things that we need. I don't know if this is going to work, it probably won't. We're going to go ahead and do one edge at a time, or we could probably select this too and then hit mesh fill hole. Let's just see if that works. That might work. Go ahead and use the interactive split tool and see if you can cut across, and we can't, so you're just going to have to go ahead and do one face first by hand. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and do this face. So if you select the edge and hit extrude and then drag down, and then we're just going to go ahead and use our merge vertex tool to target weld these 2 points like so. And now if you go ahead and select the object, mesh fill hole, there we go. Now cap those, and now we're just going to have to go ahead and add these edge loops that go around. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my, actually we might be able to use our insert edge loop tool, and then no, we won't. So I'm going to undo that and just do it with the interactive split tool, and I'm going to turn down the magnet to 0.3. Should give me enough or not. So we're going to go ahead and turn this down to 0.1, and I'm going to go ahead and do this by eye roughly. So you're going to need a cut here and here, and then we're also going to need a cut on the bottom, and then obviously you can go ahead and move these verts later on. So I need one here, go into here like so, and then I'm just going to go ahead and quickly adjust these verts so they're roughly at the right place. I'm just going to go ahead and select that point, and for some reason the rotation is not very good, so we're just going to leave that as it is for now. Shouldn't really cause too many issues. So now if you go ahead and smooth it, it's not going to work because we haven't added our edge loop, so we're just going to go ahead and do that right now. So use your insert edge loop tool again and add an edge loop in here and in here like so, and it should all be quads, so your insert edge loop shouldn't have a problem doing this. If you do, that's because you messed something up, so you got hang-ons in your mesh, but hopefully you haven't, and then this should work perfectly fine. And also we're going to need some edge loops around here, so that will hold that shape, and one more around here. And then if you just go ahead and hit smooth, and let's see how it's looking. It's looking pretty good, apart from this bit, because we're going to need an edge loop on this side. So go ahead and insert edge loop and drag that around here. So as you can tell, you can just quickly, once you think you got enough edge loops going, then you can just quickly hit smooth, see how it's looking, and if it doesn't look right, where it doesn't look right, that's where you need another edge loop. So it's that simple. Okay, so now we got this piece created and it's looking pretty good. So you're going to come out of isolation mode, smooth that as well, and now we're just going to go ahead and adjust this so it's sitting at the right place. So I'm just going to select both of them, hit isolate, go to my front view and toggle X-ray on, and then if I select that piece and go to vert, I'm going to go ahead and select these top points and move them. So first I'm lining up my bottom point, and then now I'm going to go ahead and line up my top point, and again we can do the same trick with this, just so it sits perfectly in there how it should be. Okay, and it's looking pretty good to me. And now if you come out of isolate, go into our perspective mode, turn X-ray off, and just have a look how this piece is looking. Okay, and it seems to me that this gap is a tiny bit too big. So what we can do is again just go ahead and select some verts, which is going to be, I think we're going to go ahead and adjust these ones first and just move them just a tad, and then same with these on the side. I'm going to go ahead and grab those and just move them just a bit, and now that's looking a little bit better. I might just move this whole piece. If I center the pivot, just drag it a tiny bit. I might have been too much, so just going to go ahead and try to drag this in the middle, and that looks better to me. So now I've got these two pieces created. I'm just going to go ahead and separate them here a little bit more, so it looks a little bit better. So again, I'm going to go ahead and move it up, out and down a little bit, and then we're just going to go ahead and adjust these top verts so it lines up. So if I just go into my top view, I don't know how well this is going to work. Yep, it's not, so you're just going to have to do it in our perspective mode and select those top ones and just drag it out a little bit. That might have been too much, maybe to about there, and that's looking pretty good to me. We might make some adjustments with this edge, and let me just move this back a little bit, so I didn't like how it was looking at the end. I quite like that. I'm just going to go ahead and smoothen this out a little bit more. So if you go ahead and select this edge loop and just move it down a little bit, and move the red arrow this way. This might be a bit too much. I'm going to go ahead and have a look how it's looking now. Yeah, that was too much. So we're only going to have to move it just a tiny bit, or we could even move that edge loop. I quite like it. That you got that little bump in it, I think. So we might just move this edge loop I don't really know why it's not selecting the axes properly, so we're just going to leave that as it is for now. I mean, it's still looking pretty good. Okay, so now we've got these created, and we're just going to go ahead and group both of them together and name it eyebrows. And let me just see how we're doing. And, we're going to go ahead and ungroup this block, because I don't know what this is. That's going to be our blocking, so I don't know why that was in the group. So I'm just now going to go ahead and clean up my outliner. So I'm going to go ahead and call this eye front, and then that's in our head group, so that's fine. Screws, head back, we're going to go ahead and put that in a head group, so middle mouse button and drag, and we're also going to go ahead and drag this in there. The block can stay separate, so we're also going to go ahead and add the screws into the head. So now we've got 2 main groups, and then in the head group we got the rest of the pieces. So in the next part we're going to go ahead and make this cable thing here, but we're not going to go ahead and create this. We're going to go ahead and create that after we finish modelling the neck and this middle piece here, because I'm not really sure where this cable is going to go just yet. Okay, so I will see you guys in the next part.